So in the world of tech, change is really the only constant, right? But every once in a while, a shift comes along that just feels different, bigger. And right now, that shift is AI. It's causing what I can only describe as a full-blown panic in the software industry. The feeling isn't that this is just a new tool, but maybe an extinction-level event. But is that what's really going on? Today, we're going to look past the headlines and dissect this so-called SaaSpocalypse.
Just look at this number, 30%. Since the beginning of 2026, the ETFs that track public software companies are down a whopping 30%. I mean, that drop completely erases all the gains made since ChatGPT first hit the scene. We're talking about giants here, Salesforce, Adobe, Intuit, all taking a massive, massive hit.
And this quote, it just perfectly captures the mood out there. The market has spoken, and it's pretty brutal. The fear is so real it even has a name now, the SaaSpocalypse. But what if this big consensus is built on a house of cards? You know, a fundamental misunderstanding of what software companies are actually selling in the first place.
Okay, so let's get into it. Here's the game plan for today. First, we're going to look at the panic itself. Then, we'll break down why we think the bears are wrong by digging into how software moats actually hold up in the age of AI. From there, we'll see how this whole shift is creating brand new winners. And finally, we'll look at what's coming, the great software bifurcation.
Right. So this panic, it's not just some small-time concern among a few investors. We're talking about a market-wide fear that AI is going to just hollow out the entire customer base for enterprise software. The anxiety is real, and it's hitting some of the most established, most successful companies on the planet. But what if they're wrong? What if this entire panic is built on a completely flawed idea? We think it is, and it all stems from a really basic misunderstanding of what the software business is all about. The fear comes from looking at the wrong thing. And that brings us to the most important question in this whole debate. Let's just forget the hype, forget the fear for a second, and get down to basics. What are you actually buying when you pay for software? Is it really just lines of code, or is it something a whole lot deeper? This comparison right here frames the entire argument perfectly. The bear case sees software as just a commodity. It's code. And hey, if AI can write code cheaper and faster, well then competition explodes and your profit margins just collapse. But the reality is, successful software companies have never just sold code. They sell solutions. They solve complex, messy business problems. I mean, think about it. If value was just in the code itself, open source software would have taken over the world years ago.
In those bearish arguments, they pretty much always fall into these four buckets, the four horsemen, if you will. The fear that foundation models will just do everything themselves, that big companies will just, vibe code their own tools, that the giants will all expand and just crash into each other, or that a flood of new, cheap startups will undercut everybody. These are the fears we're about to take apart.
So to do that, we need a good framework. And honestly, there's no better tool for the job than Hamilton Helmer's 7 Powers. These are the classic, time-tested business moats, the things that give companies a real, durable competitive advantage. And far from being obsolete, AI is actually about to make a lot of these even stronger. And here they are. You've got scale, network effects, the more people use it, the more valuable it gets, counter-positioning, switching costs, brand, cornered resources like unique data, and finally, process power. Now, we're not going to do a deep dive on all 7, but we are going to focus on the ones that matter most in this new age of AI. And maybe the most critical and honestly the most underrated moat of them all right now is this one, process power. This is where the real, sticky, long-term value of enterprise software is hiding. So what is it? Well, process power is what happens when a piece of software stops being just a tool you use and starts becoming part of the very fabric of how your company works. It grows with you. It encodes your specific workflows, your institutional knowledge, even the little opinions and preferences of your team. It literally becomes how you do business. Let's make this real with an example. Take Harvey, the AI-native legal tech company. They don't just sell a generic legal AI. No, they start by going deep, learning a specific law firm's unique processes, their contract templates, their review cycles, everything. Then they encode all that knowledge into the software itself. This is huge because it moves the software from being a simple database, a system of record, to a system of action. And here is the absolute key. As the underlying AI models get smarter, Harvey's unique understanding of the law firm's process becomes more valuable, not less. And it's not just process power. Other moats are still incredibly relevant. Think about network effects. For a company like Salesforce or Figma, AI doesn't kill the network, it supercharges it.
It lets everyone do more with all that shared data. Brand becomes even more important as a signal of trust. In a world suddenly flooded with new, unproven tools, you're going to trust a name like Stripe. And cornered resources, like Bloomberg's mountains of proprietary financial data, become exponentially more valuable when you can unleash powerful AIs on them.
Okay, so we've seen how AI strengthens the defenses of existing companies. But this isn't just a defensive game. AI is also creating absolutely massive new opportunities for startups to build their own empires. And they're doing it by using the power of counterpositioning. Counterpositioning is a classic strategic move, especially during a big platform shift like this one. It's when a startup can come in with a new business model that is just poison for the incumbent. The big, established player literally cannot copy it without destroying their own profitable business. It's the ultimate innovator's dilemma.
And look, we've seen this movie before. Workday used the new SaaS model to completely disrupt PeopleSoft's old licensing model. We're seeing it happen again right now. An incumbent like Zendesk charges you per user, per seat. But an AI-native startup like Decagon can come in and charge you per resolution. That is a fundamentally better way to align with the customer, and it's a move Zendesk just can't easily make without wrecking its existing revenue streams. And this is the real prize. The whole bear case assumes we're fighting over a fixed pie. But AI doesn't shrink the market for software, it massively expands it. I mean, we have only automated a tiny, tiny fraction of the work we do. As AI drastically lowers the cost of building software, countless business processes that were once too complex or just too small to be worth automating suddenly become amazing opportunities. It opens up a vast new frontier.
So, what does this all add up to? Well, it's not a simple story of destruction. It's a story of bifurcation, a splitting of the road. We're heading for a K-shaped future for the software industry, where there's going to be a very clear divide between the winners and the losers.
On the upward arm of that K, you'll find the winners. These are the companies that deliver real, deep value. They've got strong moats like process power, and they're embracing the new business models that AI makes possible. But then there's the downward arm, and that's where you'll find the losers. These are the thin wrappers around commodity tech, the companies still relying on outdated pricing, and the ones who've held customers hostage with high switching costs but provide very little actual value.
So the most crucial point to take away is this. AI isn't killing software. It is forcing an evolution. And yeah, some companies that just can't or won't adapt are going to lose, and that can be painful. But this is creative destruction at its absolute best. It's a healthy process that's going to flush out the weak and ultimately lead to a much stronger, much bigger, and way more valuable software industry.
Which leaves us with this final thought. The panic, the fear, it's all missing the bigger picture. This isn't an apocalypse. It's a genesis. It's the beginning of a brand new era for software, one that's going to be far larger and more impactful than anything we have ever seen before. The question isn't whether software will survive, but who is going to build the empires of this new age.